Friday morning, we spoke about uh, pranayama, its role in our life. We all are together now, and we've been practicing meditation the last 12 days. And in this process, we would have observed that our ability to stay with the object of meditation is not perfect. There are loopholes. There are moments when we are not completely with the breath or the light, but we are somewhere else. We got carried away by the thoughts that came from our mind. Another thing that would have happened is like your body had some difficulties. While sitting, you wanted to move. There were pain in different parts of the body. So bodily discomforts also took us away from our meditation. Sometimes in our mind, some emotions come, and that also takes us away from our focus. And this is what life is all about also. In life also, when we do something, always these three things come, thoughts, emotions, and our bodily discomforts. And that takes us away from our focus, our concentration, our desire to do something with one pointed focus. And meditation is nothing but, the practice is nothing but a replication of what happens in our life. So we spoke and we saw how yoga asanas help us in taking us to a healthy state, which allows us to sit for a longer period of time in meditation. It's all designed for as perfect a body as possible, so that we are able to sit longer period of time in dhyan, in meditation. The another aspect is the emotions that come and touch us, and that is intricately connected to our breath. When we are agitated, we breathe fast. When we are calm, our breath slows down. We have long and slow breathing. So there is a connection. And if you look at newborn babies and the children per se, they're generally very happy. They don't worry about the world, and they're not affected by the world the way we are affected. They're calm, happy. And if you look at their breathing pattern, they will all be breathing through the stomach. A newborn baby, if you see, the stomach goes up and down. Whereas if we check ours, our breath doesn't happen that way. It probably is in the chest area. It is not even deep enough to touch the stomach. So this is where a practice wherein we change the rhythm of the breath through pranayama comes in focus. A regular practice of that would help us in gaining control over the breath, and over a period of time, control over our emotions also, our thought processes also, and through that, our ability to sit for a longer period of time in meditation happens. There are many kinds of pranayama. I'm sure you can take it as a task to understand different pranayamas and journal it, and practice a few of them on a day-to-day basis also. But to start with, maybe we should just look at deep breathing. Sit quietly and take a deep inhalation, slow and deep inhalation, and a slow and deep exhalation. Slowly release it out. And do it for some time. And that itself would basically calm us down. And to start with, this is what is required. Our breathing is based on the environment. As we said earlier, if you are agitated, if something is bothering us, our breathing pattern would change. The real practice of long inhalation and exhalation, conscious practice would help us calm down. It will become part of our life. And you would also see if you practice that over a period of time, your breathing would change to your abdomen. Abdominal breathing will happen. And that is what we require. And after you do the continuous long inhalation and exhalation, you should learn to do Anulom Viloma. Like you breathe in through one nostril and release through the other, and again breathe in through that one and release through this. This is a very, very beautiful practice wherein our nadis, the veins which takes the energy, gets cleansed. And it also balances our feminine and masculine aspects. This you should practice along with asanas. This practice has to happen. And the third one that you can look at is Brahmari Prana, wherein you inhale deeply and then when you release, you make a sound in your throat. And release, make that sound and release. So to start with these three, you should start practicing, and that would really, really help you, not just in meditation, even in your overall well-being. That is of great importance. And there are many other practices which we, as days go by, we will take later. I will take one question that has come. The question is from Pratima. I do not know which city she's from. She says, I was always into meditation and yoga and managed to subdue my feelings, keep my demons intact. But this regular practice always unleashes them, the demons. That is one of the reasons I never committed to long-term courses. It's happening again. I'm losing control over them and my bad side comes out. People say you are doing so much meditation, but all in vain. Why does this happen and how can I correct it? I don't want to control it and push it inside me once again. I want to rectify this. I think I'm sure all of us go through this. We start meditating and we get enthused by it, and in one situation you say something, and then your wife, your husband, or your near and dear says, "What is the point in you meditating?" You go on like that, and so we are put down. So, and we also realize that in spite of meditation, sometimes the person that we want to become, we are not become. So it's very important for us to realize that when we start meditating, we become more aware of ourselves and our surroundings, compared to what we were before. Which means that the thoughts that are there is accentuated and it becomes big in front of your mind's eye. Those thoughts were there earlier also, but we did not notice it. Now we are noticing. So that is challenge number one, because now we are thinking that these are new things that are coming. They're not new. They were there. It's just that we started seeing and recognizing them. So that should make you understand how much work that is there within us. And the second and most important thing, which probably is the answer to your question, is that we are a product of our lifetimes. You may be 40-year-old, or you may be 60-year-old, you may be 20-year-old. And we can see ourselves only as that, as a body age. And as the age of the body, as also the age of the experiences that we have. We cannot see beyond it. So we judge ourselves based on this bodily age. But actually we are the sum total of our lifetimes of experiences. That's why you see different kinds of people. Like if you go out in the market and you select 100 people and ask them their worldview, it will be 100. It all will be different. Plus, it will be so varied. One will talk about making money. Another one will talk about maybe going to Himalayas and meditating. So you would see that within the family also, if you seriously look around, maybe a family of twins, both of them, let us say 20-year-old, but both of them will have their worldview would be different. They have the same parents, they have the same education, same upbringing, same society, everything is same. But then their basic nature are different. How can that be possible? If we say that we are a product of the genes of our parents, then both of them not only identical in their physical features, but their character also should be identical. But it is never so. So it can only be explained by the differing experiences of the soul inside. For example, if one of them, let us talk about this 20-year-old, one of them lived 100 lifetimes, and each lifetime of 100 years. That means they're basically about 10,000 year old, 100 into 100. But his brother, same age, let us say he lived only 10 lifetimes. This is 11th. So, and he also lived for 100 years each in those lifetimes. What is his age? His age is only 1,000. So though we are seeing two 20-year-old boys, if you analyze logically and from a spiritual perspective, what you're seeing is a 1,000-year-old soul in a 20-year-old body, and you're seeing a 10,000-year-old soul in another 20-year-old body. And both of them will necessarily behave differently. They will have differing world perception. So just because the parents are wonderful doesn't mean the children have to be better than them. Or just because your brother is, or because you are good, your children has to be higher than you. These things doesn't happen that way. It all depends on the soul experience, the experience of the soul as it has gone through different lifetimes. This is why in spirituality, we are told to look at everybody with compassion and never to judge a person. Because as a human being, we judge people based on their age. If an 8-year-old says that 2 plus 2 is 7, and we'll correct him and we'll laugh. But an 80-year-old says 2 plus 2 is 7, then you will have a problem. Because we look at him and we think that an 8-year-old man, how can he talk like that? He shouldn't be talking like that. But spirituality teaches us that the 8-year-old could be a baby in terms of soul's growth. And this 8-year-old could be an ancient soul, lived many lifetimes. So this is the difference. This difference we need to identify. It's not physically. In our mind, when we meet people, we should have this understanding that people are different because of their worldly experiences. Now, based on these experiences, we also come with a lot of issues and challenges in seeing the world in the most purest form. So when we start our spiritual journey, what happens is we invoke our inner energies, and in a meditative state, we actually see ourselves, we the soul, and we also tend to see our blueprint, which we have written for our lifetime. In this life, what am I supposed to learn? What am I? Why is it certain people behaving in a certain way to me? All these things we learn. But after meditation, when we come back, of course, we do not remember all these things. But as we meditate over a period of time, we become calm because this understanding that we gain through meditation is sort of seeping into our consciousness. From deeper consciousness, it is coming out to subconscious and conscious levels. So when we do these practices, the demons that you are talking about, Pratibha, they will come out. What is our goal? What are we trying to do? We are trying to purify us. How can you purify yourself without the unwanted things coming out? So you can never clean a dirty vessel without the dirt going out and without your hand getting dirty, without you seeing it. So we are also same thing only. When we do the practices, automatically what is within will come out. And if you have a lot of anger within, but you've been living a life with a facade of being quiet, When you start doing this, that anger would come out because the ultimate aim is for you to become clean inside, energetically. But for that to happen, this need to go out. So when we start meditating, all these things will come. But don't stop there. That is where we go astray. We need to be at it. We need to go out and finish it off. And this life, if you have gone to different places, as you said, you went to different places to learn and practice, that means your journey has started. Now don't leave it. Go with the flow and go and finish it. Face it. If the universe has given you this life, the universe will also would have taken care of all the things that would affect you and would make sure that you are safe and sound till the end. Universe will never give you a life wherein you will end up in trouble, where you will get annihilated in the worst possible way. Such a thing will never happen. The universe is the most beautiful, happy entity in this world, and it has only the purest of pure intention for us. It has only the highest goodness in its mind. Whatever we go through, if we look back in retrospect, they all did something good to us. What we are today is based on all of that. It is not that we should be tickled all the time and we are laughing all the time. We are human beings. We have things to learn and we have things to release. So please continue your practice. I'm glad you openly asked this question. Moment to moment, be aware of it. And people might tell you things. You don't have to be worried about all that. You be focused on what you are doing. Okay? So on that note, let us start meditating. We finished 12 days. And today, we will make a slight change in our meditation. And morning meditation, evening meditation. It is like that. So far, what we've been doing is we are clasping our hands, crossing our feet, and sitting quietly with eyes closed. And then the Atma Jyoti meditation, we observe the light in our heart. And in the morning meditation, we observe the normal and natural breath. But now onwards, when you do, I want you to incorporate one additional thing. That is, when you sit and when you close your eyes, I would like you to, keep your chin a little bit above the plane. We look straight, but then lift up a little bit. Okay? A little bit lift up, and then eyes closed. I want you to gaze into your third eye. Just gaze into your third eye. Take the first 30 seconds, 1 minute to do that. And when you do that, it will automatically get fixed there. And in a few days' time, you will find that once the gaze is fixed, you don't droop your head. Many of you must be finding that, as meditation progresses in these last 12 days, that after some time your head goes this side, that side, all movement happens. Because our gaze is not fixed. We want you to experience, the sitting process inside. Now let us move to the next level, wherein you fix the gaze in your third eye by lifting your chin a little bit. Okay? So today, right now onwards, let us do that, and henceforth we'll do this. And a few more changes will come. That will come after some time, after a few more days. So let us meditate. And how we meditate is by observing the light in our heart. So wherever you are, please clasp your hands, keep it on your lap, cross your feet, relax your body, and close your eyes. Close your eyes. Close your eyes and relax your body. Take your gaze to the third eye. Lift your chin 1 degree, 2 degree, not more than that. Do not take your head backward. It's still straight, still looking straight, but a little upward, which allows you to gaze a little above the parallel plane into your third eye. Once your gaze is fixed on your third eye, bring your attention to the center of your heart. The real center inside your heart. As you bring your attention there, you see this speck of light. Small, size of a pinhead, but very bright and golden in color. Very bright, intense, and golden in color. But very small. At the center of your heart. Bring your attention there. Just keep watching. As you keep watching that speck of light, you can see a slight movement there, as if it is becoming bigger. As if something is flickering. As if it is becoming slightly bigger and bigger. Still as intense, as golden, as luminescent. Now you can clearly see it becoming bigger, expanding in concentric circles in all directions, forward, backward, left, right, upward, downward, like a small ball. It is expanding in size, intensity is increasing, it is illuminating the inside of your heart now. You can see the inside surfaces of your heart because it is lit by this pure light. This is the light of you, the soul, you, the Atma, which is pure consciousness, pure light. You can see that light expanding and it is going down into your body, into your diaphragm, into your stomach, filling the stomach cavity. Suddenly it being lit by this golden light. Each and every organ in your heart is in the hue of golden color. Going down, the light going down in your hip area. In your legs, in your thighs, in your knees, the calf muscles, slowly going down, electrifying every cell in its path, reaching your ankles, your feet, and your toes. Your whole lower body within is golden and intense light. You can see the light expanding upward into your body, your upper chest, your lungs, your shoulders, moving into your arms, elbow, arms, wrist, your palms, your fingers. Every cell in the pathway being lit by this golden light. Your own light, its intensity is increasing now. As it goes up in your neck, you can feel this electric sensation, a vibration in your body now. Just watch as it enters your head and filling the cavity, the skull cavity, touching the brain cells, illuminating it, penetrating it, and turning it into a golden light. Moving into your mouth, into your nose, your eyes, into your ears, the top of your head. The entire body inside is golden in color, golden light, lit intensely. As you become aware of that, you can see this light slowly coming out through the skin, through each and every pore of your skin. The light is coming out and enveloping your body in golden light. Golden, the highest spiritual color. At this point in time, you can see the light expanding all around you, moving into every part of your room where you are sitting. Whole room is lit with this intense light of you, the soul. It is moving out of your room into all parts of your home. You can see this wave-like movement of that light into other rooms and touching all the people who are sitting in those rooms, your near and dear ones. Touching the material that are there in your home, converting them into pure golden light. As your light touches people, they feel energized. They feel loved. There is a smile on their lips. You can see that. And that makes you happy as you see the light coming out of your home now, slowly spreading into the neighborhood, moving into other houses around your place, moving up and down in your apartment complex, making the whole building and all the other buildings around you, around your home, also golden. The buildings, the trees, the pathways, the earth, everything turning into golden color. It is a light that comes from within. Allow your imagination to run wild as you allow this light to go to other parts of the city that you live. And you can see the places that you normally go suddenly lit by this intense light, golden in color. Atma Jyoti, soul's light. Imagine a map of your area, and you can see the light spreading across the city, enveloping that city, golden light. And it is moving into other parts of your state. The whole of your state now filled with this pure, powerful, loving energy, your light. As it expands to other parts of your country, making your country also vibrate in that light. As you lift yourself up on the map to see, you can see the light moving all across through the ocean, the mountains, the rivers, the other continents, everything coming within its light. You can see the whole earth now lit by your golden light. You can see earth below you, and it is golden and vibrating. As you see it, you feel happy in touching people and life all over with your own light. Stay there, watch it. As you watch it, you feel your presence. Where you are sitting, you can see yourself as pure light, pure golden light. You cannot see your physical body. What you see is pure light. All the lower energy melting away in the intensity of your light, leaving behind a pure, blazing, crystalline body. Pure and transparent, vibrating at its highest potential. Emitting golden light. You are a ball of golden light. Feel it. Feel the vibration in your being. feeling the light, feeling the vibrations, feeling the energy. The electrical current that you feel. To being that. Being your golden light. Be there, enjoying your presence. Knowing and appreciating your own goodness, your own purity, your own genuineness. Be there, be the light. The innermost level, we are all one. We are pure. Everyone else is also equally pure. We are happy. The whole world is happy. Last 2 minutes. One more minute. Last minute. Stay in your light. You the light. Thirty seconds. You're loving your presence. Let a smile come on your lips. You are happy. Ten seconds. Five, four, three, two, one. Zero. Take your time. If you would like to sit for some more time, you can do that. Whenever you're ready, you can unclasp your hands, keep it on your eyes for 5 seconds, and slowly bring yourself back. So in that energy, let us take leave of each other. Enjoy your presence. Keep that emptiness with quietness that you feel within. Be conscious of it. And we will see you in the morning at 7 in the morning.